I initially didn't really expect them to care this much about it, but apparently they do. What do I mean by this, even though nothing I say is financial advice? So, did you know that Dominic Williams, who is, of course, the founder of Dfinity, he recently made a post regarding the security of ICP, or should I say the internet computer? And of course, as of right now, security, it's a big topic. A lot of people care about it. And if we take a look at that right there, this specific post, Dominic Williams says how the internet computer, in terms of its technology, it does create tamper-proof clouds, which uses mathematically secure networks, which it's some pretty impressive words right there, but at the same time, I'll take it. I think it's pretty awesome at the end of the day. I mean, when Dominic Williams says that, I guess I'll pay attention. That's my point of view. Now, do I have to necessarily care about this? No, but I just think it's pretty cool nonetheless because let's just think about, as of right now, how we see some projects out there get breached. We see some other projects out there have issues sometimes regarding their security, but the internet computer, supposedly, Dominic Williams is already kind of thinking about this type of stuff. Dfinity, they already care about this type of stuff. So other projects out there, they're trying to put the pieces in place. They're trying to scramble things together after things have happened. But I think preventative measures are better than reactive measures in some cases, right? Reacting to something that already happened, sometimes it could be a little bit messy. And of course, I'm not talking about Messi, the soccer player. I'm talking about kind of it literally being messy, right? But on the flip side, if let's say it's preventative, then there might not be a mess to clean up anyways later. That's my point of view. So I do like seeing this when it comes to the internet computer, because even if I take a look at, according to something that was showcased on Forbes, it indicated how human error causes 70 to 85% of breaches. So that's the thing. So we already know that sometimes things are already a little bit secure, but sometimes the human error aspect isn't really taken into consideration. So if there are measures to maybe kind of even, let's say, still have security even if there was a mistake made in terms of the human error side of things, that's the way to take a look at it. So when I take a look at being focused on security as of right now, I think it is a pretty big deal. And I think with the internet computer having this emphasis when it comes to security, I think it showcases the foresight of someone like Dominic Williams and also Dfinity overall. Now, of course, people like to tell me, but ICP is still low in terms of the charts. Yes, that is true. But what happens if, let's say, the narrative of security becomes a massive thing? If, let's say, the markets were to pick up? Because let's just think about this. Narratives, they do sometimes form randomly within this space. And I have no control over that. But what happens if there is a narrative for projects that have a heavy emphasis in regard to security? If that were to happen, ICP is one of the projects out there that is literally already even having a focus on that as of right now. So if, let's say, the market hypothetically were to pick up again, and let's say that becomes a narrative again, projects that have an emphasis towards security, it's kind of like a high tide raises all ships type of vibe where it just kind of elevates the space overall for the ones that are actually focused on security or have an emphasis towards that. It's kind of like catching the wave instead of chasing it later on. The wave may never come, but I'm saying if it were to come, the ones that are kind of prepared, they're the ones that kind of go along with the wave. So I do like seeing this when it comes to the internet computer. It's a pretty awesome thing, actually. And I just find it more interesting and more fun than, let's say, a project partnering up with a celebrity, because this one is actually improving the fundamentals. It's not solely just focused on creating a lot of hype and attention. It doesn't feel like that to me. So I do like seeing this. Now, of course, ICP still below $2.50. Not the best, but you know what? Personally, for me, these levels are lower than October of 2023, which is kind of ridiculous to think about, because who thought that 2023 was a good time when it comes to altcoins, especially in October? Not many people, right? I mean, clearly a lot of projects were not doing the best at that time, but we're even lower than that point. Kind of ridiculous to think about that. The sentiment as of right now is actually lower than October of 2023 when it comes to ICP. Now, granted though, people like to tell me that, well, We saw a pretty okay recovery though, ever since October 2023. At one point, it reached almost $19, but we haven't seen that as of right now. But personally, for me, who knows, right? Back then, when it was around $3, a lot of people probably thought it was cooked. Then we saw the recovery. We don't really know what could happen sometimes until it happens. So yeah, sure, hypothetically, I might have to wait for quite a while. I don't know how long I'm gonna have to wait because I can't control this. But at the same time, we've seen historically things being pretty low, and then suddenly maybe they do something. They don't always do that though, but it did happen like that. We've seen historically when it comes to ICP in the past. However, could that be the case right now? We'll wait and see. But to me, I just haven't given up. I treat it like a long-term type of thing for me anyways, so I have no complaints as of right now waiting. However, personally for me as well, I feel like for the other projects out there that don't really have an emphasis towards security, I just feel like sometimes it hypothetically may not be the most wise move to ignore that because it's only natural to be focused on security. This kind of signals sometimes to enterprises out there, to developers, that this project is not treating things like a joke. It's actually treating things seriously. Maybe in the retail side of things, it wouldn't really be cared so much, but let's imagine enterprises, large scale businesses out there, developers, they're going to care usually about this type of stuff. They prioritize sometimes security, stability, and also just kind of the peace of mind sort of aspect, right? So when I take a look at something like this, I do like how Dominic Williams is still even thinking about these small details, especially at a time like right now when a lot of other projects out there, they're stepping back. A lot of the founders are nowhere to be kind of found, I guess. I mean, some of them just never update anymore. Who knows what they're doing? But I just don't see that here. I see Dominic Williams, who again is the founder of Dfinity, still posting, still updating, and overall, I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to what they have planned. Now, in terms of the charts, again, it's a different case, but I'm still dollar cost averaging anyways, so if I'm able to hypothetically accumulate at below $2.50, I don't see a reason for me to complain. If it goes back to just even $5 or over 2 times lower than that. Keep in mind, actually back in January, ICP was almost at $5, so that's the thing. Even just back in January was like around 3 months ago, right? And we literally just saw that. So if the sentiment could just go back to that point where it was almost $5, it's like, that's really, I think, pretty cool. Now, would that be awesome? No, not really, but still, I mean, we literally just saw almost $5 not that long ago, and we're over 2 times lower than $5 as of right now. Keep in mind, back in November, not even half a year ago, back in November, ICP, it was at around $9 back in November. That's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Like, that's not even that long ago, again, right? If it just goes back to that point, we're over 3 times lower than that. However, again, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I'll be sure to make more updates moving forward when it comes to ICP. If there's anything that comes out, or if, Dominic Williams makes another statement or something like that, I'll be sure to kind of give my thoughts on it and give my perspective. So hopefully y'all stay tuned for future videos. I just want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.